Hello, friend. You've stumbled upon the Season 1 archive for On the Bubble podcast with me, Josh Liston. This episode you're listening to today was recorded sometime between mid-2015 and early 2019. And just so you know, Season 2 of the show is coming on Jan 8th, 2020. The first episode will drop on Jan 8th, 2020, Melbourne, Australia time, so that should be the day before if you're in North America. We're looking to make the show more fun, more energetic, a little bit less monotone from me, a bit more like this kind of vibe, and yeah, it should be pretty awesome. So thank you for checking out today's episode. I'm really proud of all the stuff we did on the Bubble podcast in the early days, which is kind of now wrapped up in Season 1, and pretty excited about where it's going for Season 2. So thanks once again, folks, on thebubblepodcast.com to get Season 2, to hear all of the episodes from Season 1, including this one today, if you want to share it with somebody or whatever. And I'll leave you with this crucial piece of life advice. So long, and thanks for all the fish.
Cancelled Sci-Fi on October 12th. Quote, "The Shannara Chronicles had a .10 rating, with 314,000 total viewers for its Season 2 debut. Not a good start on its new network." Unquote. Cancelled Sci-Fi on November 16th. Quote, "The Shannara Chronicles improved to a .11 rating, with 277,000 total viewers." Unquote.
On the Bubble podcast is a production of jkeldigital.org and souptonutspodcasting.com. For all episode resources, subscribe links, and ways to support the podcast, head on over to onthebubblepodcast.com. Now, on with the show.
According to TVSeriesFinale.com, the second season of the Shannara Chronicles on Spike is, quote, averaging a .09 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic and 245,000 total viewers, unquote. Quote, compared to Season 1 on MTV, that's down by 77% and down by 72% respectively, unquote.
Welcome back to On the Bubble podcast. My name is Josh Liston, and today we're looking at the recent string of 3 double episodes for Spike TV's fantasy drama, The Shannara Chronicles. So, why did Spike TV decide to air the final 5 episodes of Season 2 of The Shannara Chronicles on a much condensed double episode schedule? And what does it mean for the show? Its future? Is it a good thing or a bad thing that they presented the show in what on the surface appears to be a much more suitable way for The Shannara Chronicles to be conveyed to the audience in a more cinematic style? One quick thing before we get into today's show. This is actually the first time that we've featured a show, any show, while it's actually been on the bubble mid-season, as at November 2017. So if you're a Shannara fan, like I am, get out there and make some serious noise and save our show. If you happen to follow me online, you'll be seeing me really focus my energy online to getting my friends and family, even though we're down here in Australia, to give the Shannara Chronicles television show a chance at a 3rd season. There are 2 sides to the debate over why Spike decided to air the final 5 episodes of Season 2 in 3 lots of double episodes. I thought we'd start with the more positive side of the debate, that the Shannara Chronicles, being a high fantasy, epic cinematography type of show, suits a more cinematic viewing experience, being longer episodes with multiple mini story arcs that wrap up within the 2-episode arc that fit into the larger arc of the show, which for anyone who has been watching episode 5 and 6 of Shannara Chronicles Season 2 and 7 and 8 most recently, you've seen that there have been completed arcs within those shows that we wouldn't have seen if the episodes had have just been 1 episode per week. And given the type of show that it is, it's definitely a more enjoyable experience, maybe too little too late, which we'll talk about. There's also the fact that the international audience for Shannara, similar to shows like Legends of the Seeker, is quite large and growing over time as the Shannara Chronicles rolled out worldwide across networks like Netflix and was discovered by the on-demand audience as a completed series for season 1. So the question becomes, if you first discover a show on demand, like I did with Shannara Chronicles, and you were able to watch the show from start to finish and complete an entire season in as condensed a time frame as you wanted to, does that affect the viewing experience of then moving into a season where you're forced to wait week to week to experience a show? Does that work for a fantasy television show? It's a solid question. It's one that we don't have an answer for quite yet. I'm actually going to bring a few experts in the television world onto the show over the next half a dozen episodes to tackle questions like that and some that we've raised in the past. So the positive argument summed up is the following. Spike TV is simply giving fans a more cinematic experience of the Shannara Chronicles because it suits the style and genre of show that it is. But that's giving the TV network a lot of credit. As we've seen in the past, not all networks are completely aligned with the shows that they actually produce and the audiences for those shows. So is there a chance that Spike's changing of the schedule and the double episode rollout had at its core a more nefarious reason or aim? Of course there is. This is high fantasy television after all, and that's what we're going to talk about next. It's no secret that the Shannara Chronicles has struggled for ratings across now 1 3/4 seasons, and it's not outside the realm of possibility that the shortening of the schedule from Spike TV could be a move to wrap up the airing of Shannara as quickly as possible so they can move on as a network. Or in the more blunt words of writer Stephen Harper, who speculated in an article for denofgeek.com on November 8th, 2017, quote, "They, being Spike, want to burn through the back 5 episodes of this season as quickly as possible because they're planning on axing it," unquote. So personally, I hope that Spike TV realise that they have a clearly flawed, even the most hardcore Shannara fan can appreciate the fact that the show has its problems, but they also have a potentially epic fantasy property on their hands, and they have at least 2 powerhouse actors, Ivana Baquero and Manu Bennett, who are world-class at what they do. And they also have what not all shows that are based on a book or another property can claim. They have a very rich literary source to draw from. So in conclusion for today, just as a personal note, if you're a fan of the Shannara Chronicles and you want to see the show continue into a 3rd season and have the chance to become what we know it can become, go out there and find online whatever the current incarnation of the Renew Shannara campaign is. And if for some reason it hasn't started up yet and you're listening to this the day I release it, or very close to, I think from what we've heard today, it's more likely than not that the campaign will start up soon. So hashtag Renew Shannara, hashtag Save Shannara, and for the sake of keeping in line with many of the show's cast and most of the TV fan base, hashtag Save the Shannara Chronicles. And as always, check out onthebubblepodcast.com for all episode links, pictures of tweets and other resources we use to produce the show. And we'll finish up today with a few listener shoutouts for some iTunes reviews from Adam Ryan and Adam Jaffrey, both from Australia, who left 5-star reviews for On The Bubble podcast in Apple Podcasts. And if you're looking for a good way to introduce our show to other people, and I ask you, how would you describe the show? Both of Adam's reviews could be helpful in doing that. So thanks to you guys for listening, and thanks to Adam and Adam for leaving those great reviews. We'll go to those now. Thanks, and talk soon. Adam Ryan from inallairness.com gave On The Bubble podcast 5 stars inside the Apple Podcast app and directory, and Adam's review read, quote, "Josh is a guy who is obsessed, in a good way, with podcasts. He's put considerable time and energy into the production of this show, and I congratulate him on the style and editing choices made," unquote. Adam Jaffrey from matepodcast.com gave On The Bubble podcast 5 stars inside Apple Podcasts for iOS and the iTunes directory, and Adam's review read, quote, Great show. Each episode is thoroughly researched and well produced. This is a must listen if you're a TV fan, aka a human being. Unquote. Thanks to Adam and Adam. Check out onthebubblepodcast.com, at Joshua C. listed on Twitter and Instagram for me, and catch you soon.